Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. Thank you for coming along tonight to the 5G Testbed Accelerator Program Information Evening. Very long title. So I'm just here, I'm Sam. I'm working with Digital Catapult on the program and have been working on the program since early last year. So we'll be able to tell you a bit more about what's involved later on this evening. But before that, I'm just here to say that if there is a fire alarm or a fire, we will be going down the fire exit just through that corridor there, down to the car park. And if you need to use the toilet facilities, they're just over the corridor, just straight out of here, straight over. So without further ado, we are going to be kicking off with a welcome from Phil Jones, who's the MD here at Wired Sussex.
Thanks, Sam. I'm not going to use the mic. I think you can all hear me.
Sorry, the live stream.
I've got to use the mic. It's the bloody technology, isn't it? Right, I am going to use the mic. Just a very short welcome to everyone here tonight to the Fusebox. Wired Sussex runs the Fusebox as part of its mission to support local businesses in innovating, in creating new products, services and experiences and benefiting from doing that. We do that because we know innovation is quite hard, particularly for smaller businesses. You know, it's hard to spot the opportunities, and even if you do that, it's often hard to create the culture and the processes in your businesses to enable those innovations to happen. And then it's even more difficult actually to get them to market and to make some money out of them. So what we try and do here is find ways to help businesses through that whole journey and through that whole process by connecting them up with funders, connecting them up with investors, helping them understand how to move their ideas forward, but also providing them with access to some key technologies that we think are very important in terms of the next generation of innovation. One set of those is around immersive, so we've got a set of VR and AR and haptic equipment here that businesses can access. And another is 5G, the 5G Testbed, which is based here. 5G Brighton Testbed, which is based here, which you're going to hear a lot more about. And you know, at least with immersive stuff, you can see the headsets, you can actually see the technology, and it's very rapidly, you can experience it, whether it's a high quality or a low quality, you can experience it. But the challenge with 5G is actually you can't see it, and the way you experience it is through the applications that you create as businesses, which run on 5G and which utilize the specific nature of 5G technology to create a better product, service or experience. So that's what we do here. If you're interested in how you might engage either with Wired Sussex or the work we do at the Fusebox, then chat to me afterwards, or chat to Chris, who's the guy at the back with the headphones, or Jasmine, who's the person who signed you in round there. So have a great evening. We really hope that as many of you as possible put in applications for the next round of this open call for ideas around 5G and access the technology that we host here in partnership with the Digital Catapult in London and in Brighton. Am I passing on to someone else now? Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm passing on to Dritan. Okay, thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Okay. Again. So my name is Dritan Kaleshi. I'm head of the technology for Digital Catapult, head of technology 5G for Digital Catapult, and also I lead the 5G program at Digital Catapult. The way that we have structured today, or the way that Sam and Felipe and other people have structured this evening, is that we will give a very brief overview of what the 5G program at Digital Catapult is, and then I will hand over to Kostas, which is 5G technologist at Digital Catapult, to go over with you some use cases and how 5G effectively is used. So to try to put in context what Phil said, that 5G in itself is quite a little understood, but in some cases even a misunderstood technology in terms of the potential. So as an organization, we are created by the government to effectively look specifically on enabling early adoption of digital technologies in the UK. And the uniqueness of our position is that we will be both technology and commercially neutral. Our mission, in the way that the government sees it and the way that we as a not-for-profit company see it, is to effectively enable people like you to adopt technologies, and effectively through that adoption of the technologies by people like you, in combination with large enterprises, to effectively contribute to the growth of the economy. And in the diagram on my left, you will see that we focus on 3 technology layers. So immersive, as you have seen, we have the immersive lab in the Fusebox, which covers the AR and the VR technologies, or immersive technologies in general. And we also focus on artificial intelligence. And then we have 2 programs of work within the future networks, which is IoT and 5G. In a way, we see these 3 layers effectively forming what we call the DNA of the digital economy, which is the data, the networks, and the artificial intelligence. And we play a very, very specific role in that particular ecosystem, because most of the time, the infrastructure is the thing that people always assume that someone else will do. And then people are surprised when that infrastructure does not meet their own needs. So we have a lot of people discussing about data, either acquiring data or interacting with the data, so both acquiring, acquisition, sensing, but also actuation increasingly in industries. And on the other side, we talk about the brain, how artificial intelligence will process this massive amount of data and make decisions which will effectively change the way that things are happening in the real world. And we tend to forget about the network in the middle that makes all of this happen. So what do we do as a Digital Catapult? We effectively do what we call bring people, places, technology, and innovation together. So we will convene and deliver collaborative research and development, which will lead to commercial exploitation. And in this process, we effectively aim to reduce the risk. And we, this is why we are leading the 5G Brighton project. So installing and underwriting the risk of installing an extremely complex technology. And then you can talk to both Kostas and Faribors here, and Dimitris, which is not here today, on how that effectively works. And we do this by building and operating physical and digital facilities, because especially for infrastructure, it's very expensive for companies like you here and most of the other people in the UK to effectively build or operate such facilities. And the third element, which is the main reason why you are here today, is once we build these facilities, we bring the people to this place and that technology to deliver specialized innovation programs, where we do 2 things, and that is the unique difference for Digital Catapult. On one side, we will provide you with all of the services that a typical Accelerator program does, and Sam will talk about it in more detail later, which is masterclasses on business and presentations and funding, etc. But equally, and sometimes I am a technology guy, so of course I think that is sometimes more important, we will put people alongside with you that will explain and work with you of how the product roadmap for you effectively can be aligned with technology roadmap of specific infrastructure technologies, and in this particular case, 5G. So imagine that you are working on an idea and you need to develop a product. You have your own product roadmap, but at the moment you don't know what kind of wireless technology will be best for you. Without any bias, we will be able to advise you and make you aware of not only what is the best technology for you today, but also what the roadmaps of those technologies will be for the future, so that you can make a more longer-term decision. And last, leverage public funding to bring about the increased private investment that is required to allow you to do what you are supposed to be doing. We have a very unique position in the UK innovation ecosystem in general, and in particular in the 5G space. We work very, very closely with the government. We are a trusted partner in the 5G program with the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, as well as with other departments in the government on specific industries, but with the DCMS in particular on the 5G and telecommunications in general. We have very, very strong relationship with industry. We work very closely and have strategic partnerships with academia, which means that because we sit right in the middle of this particular triangle between industry, academia and government, we can effectively play a genuine role of a neutral broker to bring together the best possibilities for people to effectively deliver new products and services in the best way possible for them. We are also the catapult that is responsible for coordinating all of the 5G work within the catapult network in the UK, and the home of the 5G innovation in the UK. And we do that because we have developed over the past 4 years a 5G program. And in this 5G program, as I said, our primary role is like what we have done here in Brighton, both here and in the new location that we will have in a second location in Brighton, which I cannot announce because we are streaming live, where we effectively build and operate facilities. To build and operate facilities in the 5G space is not an easy thing. You probably hear from people that have built various testbeds. To operate them at a commercial grade service for people to come and experience it for real is not an easy matter. Then we share the expertise through thought leadership programs. So we have a 5G Nation report. We have helped Department for Culture, Media and Sport in their urban connected communities. And also we are generated reports that are being published now around made in 5G, manufacturing, the intersection between 5G and manufacturing, and immersive and manufacturing. The 5G Nation report has been one of the best received reports in the country, if not the best received report in the country around the mobile technology developments. We nurture innovation. So we just completed one of the 6 DCMS funded phase 1, 5G Testbed and Trials funded phase 1 projects, 5G Smart Tourism, and Kostas will probably show something a bit later on, and also acceleration and incubation, which is the 5G TAP, or the 5G Testbed Acceleration Program. And in particular, at the moment, we are focusing on enabling vertical industry support. As I said, we bring, some of you might know the top picture, but I will not refer to it by name. So we effectively bring places, people, technology, and innovation together. So in the bottom left side, you have our 5G testbed in London, which is fully functional, and it's operating using a 15 megahertz spectrum, which is not an easy thing to get from Ofcom, and we effectively were able to get that. The top one effectively shows the next phase for the 5G Brighton testbed, which is a 1200 multifunctional, multi-purpose space, focusing in particular in creative industries and 5G. And in the bottom right, you effectively see how we bring people together to explain what 5G can do with them, which is what Kostas will cover. We do all of this with one single purpose. The motto that we have at the Catapult is that infrastructure is invisible. So our motto is to make the invisible visible. No one wants to deal with the left-hand side of the picture, but that is the reality of most of the things that underpin our digital transformation. It is real networks in very, very boring gray and dark black boxes that someone needs to make to work for people to get an IP connectivity to do the wonderful things that Uber and Facebook and the future applications effectively can deliver. And that can only be done if it effectively provides contribution and it is picked up by people. So making demands happen within this particular space is fundamentally our vision. And we are not new in this space. We have started this work as soon as the Catapult was launched in 2014. We have more than 12, currently 13 projects. The two pictures that you see on the side is effectively mobile phones pictures, which show the real performance of the network that you see here. So the network is those two white boxes on top of your head. The kind of rounded corner one is the cellular solution, and the white rectangular one is the Wi-Fi solution. And those two phones effectively operate in all of this particular space, and they will operate in the other space, which is about 2 to 3 times larger. And for the 5G overview, I will give it to Kostas. But as a final thing, this is always, going back historically, in setting up the projects, the 5G Brighton project has been discussed at length in 2016. When we wrote the proposal in 2016, I have to confess that I was a bit skeptical of placing the particular testbed in Brighton, and I know I'm being streamed. In fact, Brighton has always proven me to be slightly wrong, not completely, but slightly wrong, in the sense that people are particularly keen to explore the technology, and it addresses exactly what 5G puzzle is at the moment. It is not what the technology is. There are lots and lots of people that are making it work around the world. It is more important on what the technology can do for people, how it helps people to either do things better for themselves, or even better, how can it help enable people like you to do new products and new services that will enable other people to do things better. And that is all that it is about, and we are very, very pleased to be in Brighton to do this. Kostas?
Hello, my name is Kostas Katsaros. I'm a 5G technologist with Digital Catapult. And my speech today is about an overview of 5G, so the key capabilities of 5G and why it is different from 4G and other technologies. And basically what Tritan mentioned, what you can do with that. So I give you a few examples, practical ones, not theoretical, things that we have already done with 5G in several projects, and you can see how the technology is being used, and perhaps provoke you to create new ideas and new services on top of that. So why do people think 5G is so special? What has changed through the technology from 2G, which was your GSM, your current just voice service, to what we will have in 5G. So as you can see, from 2G to 3G and 4G, and now with 5G, there is a roadmap and an evolution almost every 10 years, a decade, for each generation of technology that brings new features and new services, mostly in a linear way. So just with a digital voice, we are going with a bit of voice and a few data with 3G technology. Then with 4G, you will have faster and more data consumed on a mobile phone. But what is so special with 5G is, apart from this evolution of just being more data for the end-to-end, for end users and consumers, you get this trifurcation of the services that includes more type of service like massive IoT, so all the sensors and actuators being connected to the common infrastructure, and then ultra-reliable critical communication, so low latency for safety-critical applications that require delays of, let's say, 1 millisecond, even lower, but also very reliable communications. And this trifurcation enables new type of services, and it's something that the mobile user, the end user and customers do not actually see. It's something that is hidden inside the networks, and this is what we want to do to make this invisible visible. So enable you to see the different applications and services that are available from 5G. So what are some of the technical capabilities of 5G? What is currently said that it can provide compared with existing 4G solutions or Wi-Fi? So first of all, and what you would normally get is higher capacity. So you would stream faster. So you would be able to download, let's say, a YouTube video or a streamer movie even faster. So that will enable applications such as, for example, VR and AR applications to stream faster and seamlessly without any jigger or even higher quality of video being streamed. The second is a higher number of connected devices. So currently you can stream over a Wi-Fi or a 4G connection an HD movie. However, if more than 1 or 2 persons in the room trying to stream the same video, you would try to get lags and the quality will decrease. So with 5G, that capacity will increase and enable more number of users to be able to connect at the same location, at the same access point simultaneously. Then this also relates to the typical end-to-end user data rate. So there are the peak data rate, so it's the maximum capacity that also sustains the increased number of users, but also a sustained throughput for the end user is improved. So you have a more seamless experience, excuse me, throughout your, let's say, video stream. Lastly, it's the lower latency, so 10 times lower latency that will will enable, for example, interaction with a VR or a AR application, or enable also safety critical applications, so sensors and actuators to operate in very short time delays. And I have a video later to explain how this delay can have an impact on the application and services that we develop. And finally, it can enable a longer battery life for low-power devices. So all those sensors and actuators, they may live in the environment for 10 years with one single battery. And how you can make sure that they are operational throughout their lifetime. For those type of services, you may not be able, and you wouldn't be able to stream gigabit connection, gigabit streams. However, you need that ping, let's say, or a bit of information streamed for a very long period of time. And with 5G, we can enable that improved battery life. So here is an example from Nokia, trying to demonstrate what low latency means to you. This is 3 motors connected through the network to a centralized compute infrastructure closer to those motors, what we call the mobile edge infrastructure. And you can see the difference, once we start playing this, you can see the difference of how a 4G system operates today, what's the delay there, and how a 5G system would operate. Let's start this. With 5G, that buffering wouldn't happen. See my point?
I have to note that this laptop is not connected to our 5G network.
It was working a second ago.
It was working a second ago. Reliability, one of the key features of 5G.
Well, if it doesn't work.
Refresh and reboot always improves things. No, it's fine. Yeah. Does it have audio?
And then this position
Yeah.
is recorded by a mobile edge cloud. And this position is recorded by a mobile edge cloud computing environment that then is intelligently controlling these robots, sending them the commands across the network to balance this ball on the plate. In this first demonstration, you can see on the screen here behind me, we're showing the current latency of what would be a 4G network. It's around 90 to 100 milliseconds.
So the objective is to balance the ball on that table, and
as we move the ball on the plate.
cooperatively control the three
right now, and
motors.
we can see the oscillations here tracked on this graph and how long it takes for the robots to collaborate with each other to get the information they need to balance the ball on the plate. And then we're going to switch into 5G mode. And we can see on this graph here that we've now gone from around 90 milliseconds to around 3 milliseconds, so much, much lower
That's the
latency.
10 times improved
exactly
latency that we think that will be.
And we can see that we only took one oscillation there to correct the ball. So you can see how the reduction of the latency of the network improves the communication between the machines, which is critical for future networks.
This is just a demonstration, a showcase of the difference in latency and how that may have an impact.
But I think you can for society, for humanity.
Yeah, and you can, sorry, escape. Yeah, and the applications of low latency can be in the industry, can also be in safety critical applications, can be also in immersive when we start introducing, for example, interaction with the videos and in AR and VR type of. Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to escape and. Yeah, I think it is. So what are the other type of applications that we can see with and we can enable with 5G? So a bit of an overview that image is from ETSI, which is the standardization body, European standardization body for communications. You can see that we can span 5G applications in a whole range of use cases, from what you have now as a voice application, so just making calls, to augmented reality, some of the use cases that were developed from the first cohort from 5G Brighton, and also other projects that we were involved were around immersive and augmented reality, to self-driving cars, because they will generate an immense amount of data that has to be computed and processed, not only on board with the sensors that they have on board, but also with sensors and in the cloud and in the internet. E-health applications, 3D and ultra-high definition streaming of videos, and also a lot of other applications. And all these, they have to happen in the same network at the same time, in the same infrastructure. So what we call network slicing effectively creates a dynamic infrastructure specifically configured for each individual user and application. So again, I have a lot of videos to demonstrate you what are the capabilities of 5G in terms of applications and services. So another one, this is from Qualcomm.
I get excited about the possibility for virtual reality, augmented reality-based games, where it may not be too surprising that 10 years from now, people are going to be gathering with their friends in a park, and they're all bringing their head-mounted displays, and there's communication between those devices, there's communication from the network to those devices. Entirely new mixtures of physical and virtual reality games are being played. If we look at the automotive industry and the ability for these factories themselves to have critical communication within the factory, low latency information exchange between a larger number of industrial equipment within the factory. And then you can also look at the sort of communication technologies that are going to be embedded into the vehicles themselves. So this both from a safety application in terms of communication between vehicles, but then also in terms of amount of data that's being created within a vehicle. Let's take the example of an EMT in terms of relaying information back that they capture upon recognizing the patient and the symptoms. But then there's also the aspect of what sort of data is immediately available to the EMT. It's the ability to have that kind of information availability be more instantaneous, more relevant, and more structured, specific to that.
So these are just an overview of different types of application, and this is more of a promotional video from Qualcomm of what are the potentials of 5G. In the next couple of videos, I'm going to demonstrate more tangible use cases and applications that we have developed with our partners. So the first one, before that, I'm going to explain a little bit about the 5G Testbed and Trials program from DCMS. So the phase 1 projects, there were 6 different projects spanning on very broad range of use cases applications, from rural connectivity with 2 projects, 5G 5Grid and 5G Rural First in the Orkneys and in the North England. Then the Liverpool testbed was focused mostly on healthcare and urban living. Worcester 5G consortium was focused on manufacturing and the security of 5G in an industrial environment. AutoAir was about connected and autonomous vehicles and what are the requirements in terms of providing connectivity in autonomous vehicles. And finally, Smart Tourism project, 5G Smart Tourism in Bristol and Bath, where we as Digital Catapults were partners in order to make this delivery. These were 1-year projects funded by DCMS, finished end of March. Most of them, I think all of them, got an extension from couple of months to a year or so, with the same number of partners or new partners to explore further the applications and services that were originally delivered. And there is also the Urban Connected Communities project that is a multi-million project for a large-scale 5G testbed in Birmingham and west of England, not West Midlands Combined Authority. And there will be a call for rural connected communities in order to investigate how 5G can impact rural communities. And also what we are currently investigating in partnership with DCMS is for sector testbed, sector specific around manufacturing and logistics. So what's the interplay between 5G and those sectors, and how 5G can help them improve productivity, improve the services that are provided in manufacturing and logistics. So a few more examples. So I have a couple of videos with results from some of those testbeds and projects, mainly from Smart Tourism, which were our project that we were involved, so I have more information, but also from the Liverpool and the AutoAir project. And this can give you ideas of what sort of applications that you can develop and what are the capabilities of 5G. So the first one is what I spoke earlier with some of you, is about this orchestrating the orchestra. It is a 3-party distributed orchestra between our offices in London, these are capital offices, the King's College London in Strand, and Bristol. So these 3 locations were simultaneously connected through a 5G infrastructure in order to deliver a performance, a music performance with a piano, violin, and a vocalist. And you can hear it now.
Today we did the world's first 5G 3-way concert. It's the world's first because nobody has ever connected 3 physical sites, and the latency was so low thanks to a very pioneering 5G design that we as musicians felt as if we were in the very same place, physical place.
We have connected 3 places in the UK, 2 in London, and that is King's College and the Digital Catapult, and the Millennium Square at Bristol. We named the showcase Orchestrating the Orchestra, and you can take the analogy from an orchestra of musicians where you have the conductor. It actually brings all the musicians together to perform in a full synchrony.
We leveraged the capabilities of a software platform called 5G UK Exchange that allows us to bring together the resources of individual 5G testbeds and provide the quality of service needed to make such events happen on demand.
With 5G, you can enable distributed orchestras and gigs. You can have rehearsals across the globe with your parties not being in the same town or even in the same room with you. In the UK and across the globe, we see deployments of 5G starting from this year, but in order to experience the full capabilities of 5G, we should expect this to be in the next 2 to 3 years.
It felt very inspirational because you could feel like they were in the room with you, and it just made me very motivated and it made me feel very alive.
It's really exciting to think how this technology will develop and maybe in the future be able to also reproduce what you feel one-to-one with a person. We're not in the tech world, so we don't have experience in doing this kind of thing very often, so it's really, really exciting.
5G is a system that provides a network of networks. This is the way that networks of the future in 5G will operate. They will create conditions that today are not possible for people to interact, live, work in different places in ways that they cannot do today with today's networks.
So as the performer from King's College, the violinist, said, they are not in the tech world. So as most of you, they are not familiar with 5G or communication networks, but you are in the creative, let's say, industry. You are performers, and you want to play with technology in order to improve your performance or start making new type of service or new performance. That's how we can help you, for example, with the 5G Testbed acceleration program. So we can educate you about the capabilities of 5G and what they can offer in order to improve your services and applications.
Can I ask a question?
For sure, yeah.
About the kind of wide area networking for that example.
Yeah.
How was that facilitated? How does that work? So I'm talking about the access to the networks, the disparate networks to each other.
So the 3 different locations were connected through fiber. Using the Janet service, and they were all connected to the 5G UK exchange, which is a data center in Slough, where the 5G UK exchange is a software and a platform that enables the different 5G testbeds to interconnect and.
Would that always be the case in the future?
Yes, so you would need, for longer distances, you would need a fiber backhaul for sure. How you deliver that, the last mile, deliver it to the end user, or for example, for a couple of miles of backhaul from the access point to the data center, that could be wireless connectivity.
Can I ask a supplementary about that? You said in the presentation that there were different sort of optimizations for 5G, depending on what the target address space is.
Yeah.
So for this example, is there any kind of different properties of 5G that's being employed in the rural case study that you're doing? In Scotland, for example, what are the properties of 5G that are being employed, especially for rural situations, as opposed to these kinds of situations?
The different configuration and different properties of 5G wouldn't play so much a role in terms of where the service is deployed, rather than what service you want to deliver. So if you want to have a low latency, high capacity, let's say distributed orchestra like this one, in a rural space or in an urban space, the features should be the same, the configuration. How you deploy that might be different. But if you are in a rural space and most of the applications and services are about farming, let's say, the requirements of the network are completely different than in this use case. So the system would be configured in a different way, and that's what I explained as a slicing.
It is similarly suitable for a broader broadcast between two nodes in a 5G network.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Again, from the 5G Smart Tourism project, we on the 18th of March, we have a showcase event in our offices where all the use cases and applications that were developed throughout showcased there and demonstrated. And we have here a small video explaining that.
I'm Anna Lowe, co-founder of Smartify. Smartify is participating in the 5G project to understand what is the future potential of immersive technologies on a 5G network. Smartify is a social enterprise with a mission to make information about art more accessible. It's a global mobile platform that instantly identifies artworks and then draws information straight down onto the user's smartphone, like audio, video, and augmented reality.
I think this app is really for anyone who's interested in connecting with art and artifacts in the museum in a new and modern way.
One of the shifts in 5G is moving that sort of processing, that content, which would exist in a big data center in Amazon, in Microsoft, wherever, moving that sort of intelligence closer to the edge of the network. So we're moving it to the bottom of the base station. So what you should experience is significantly lower latency. Your videos will load quicker, your audio will start quicker. All these experiences which we complain about in 4G should be seamless.
So this was one of the use cases and startups that were partners in smart tourism, 5G smart tourism. You can download the application now on your mobile phone, and you can go in the museums across the UK and across the globe and see the services that they can provide as a personalized tourist guide. However, they had issues with connectivity. They had issues with delivering enhanced type of services like augmented reality or videos loading through their service, their platform. So they were helped with 5G in order to mitigate those challenges and deliver enhanced visitor experience. A similar use case and application, click here, was from Madivision. Madivision is also one of the 5 startups that are in the first cohort of 5G Testbed and Acceleration program. They provide a synchronized VR experience, either for tourism or for training. And they had difficulties with existing technologies like a Wi-Fi or a 4G system in order to scale their application and services into a larger group. Currently, they provide a service, real-time streaming of for example, the MTV Awards across the globe with today's technologies. However, they were not able to do a synchronized streaming in this room alone. So you can do a streaming non-synchronized, video streaming across the globe with today's technology, but not in the same room with a large number of audience. So again, this was part of the trial of Madivision and in Bristol. In this case, as a group of visitors, they put on a full VR headset, and they were all streaming the same video. And you can see here this guy basically being their tour guide. He controlled the timeline of the video, starting and stopping or moving forward, but each individual user was free to look wherever they want. So the video stream was a 360 video stream, independent from the others, but all they were synchronized in terms of the time that they were seeing, the timeline. So it's like being able to start the video stream together at the same time, and also without any delay and jitter between the 3 different videos. And yeah, should be.
I didn't notice any latency, let's put it that way, but and the 360 experience, I think, is a very good way of testing that. It makes you realise the shortcomings of the hardware, but you know, it was impressive.
So you can see this type of application not only in tourism, which was the use case in this particular example, but also, for example, for training. And if you have an audience and a lecturer trying to teach, for example, immersive health applications, you cannot have this asynchronous, so one seeing at the start of the operation, the other being in the middle of operation, and the teacher saying, okay, now I finished the operation. They all have to be synced in order to be fully immersed in the same experience. Sorry. Another, again, an application and use case in order to enhance the experience of a tourist was from Landmark. They have an application that you can download and have at the moment, but they had also similar issues like Smartify, and they were partnered with Mativision in order to improve and enhance their services. They created a 360 interactive tour guide.
Landmark is a platform that allows marketeers to place digital content anywhere in the physical world in real time. It's often called Pokemon Go for brands, for travel and tourism, and for music. So today we've used 360 replace reality video to have a guided tour to 4 different locations around the city, ending up in Millennium Square, where they've tested what a 5G network might look like and the effect that has on a piece of 360 video.
Yeah, it was really fun, fantastic day for it. I think the experience for me was really interesting to see the difference in speed between 4G and 5G. That was kind of like a real eye-opener.
Yeah, it was quite like at the beginning, especially at College Green.
At Queen Square, it was almost impossible. Here, it was much better. Video was smooth. Everything was fine.
I've actually been on a similar tour of Bristol in like real life with a person, and apart from the sort of banter as you walk between places, it's pretty similar, right? And it's the same stories, and I think that's an amazing experience to be able to give that to people whenever they want, on demand, as they're wandering around the city.
I've been living here in Bristol for 2.5 years so far now, so there were some things of the city history I didn't know about. So 100% I will use it if I was going to another city to try to find the mobile history on other places.
In 4G, the buffering speed was really low. My phone was just refusing to sort of load it. So you'd get half a sentence and then it would stop and pause for 10 seconds and you have to wait for the next half a sentence, which made it pretty unusable. In 5G, it was smooth when you moved around and it loaded in immediately. So, I mean, what more could you ask for?
I think the 360 video is quite cool. I've never tried it before. I think it's a quite new thing, so I think it's going to come to the future. I think it was really good to try to move around and test it.
So I spun round at speed when the tour guide was running round. I mean, he says on the video, it should be smooth, and it was smooth. So I can't. That's pretty impressive.
So as you can see, the difference with 4G and 5G is about the user experience. It's not so much about the technology of being able to provide more bandwidth, low latencies. What you do with that, so how you can improve the experience of the end user, your customer, effectively. What you mentioned about the rural example, this is the Rural First, 5G Rural First application. Basically, they wanted you to connect with the cows, and they have developed an application that you can monitor what the cows are doing. So cows have 5G and you don't, so you can download this application now on your mobile phone. And this is a sort of gamification of 5G, let's say. But this explains, again, what sort of application and service you would have in a rural environment. You would be a farmer, not a virtual one, and you want to monitor your livestock. It's sensor data mainly, but potentially you can also have a video stream application of Another application that they experiment with was salmon farming, and they wanted to monitor a video stream inside the salmon farm underwater to monitor the quality of the fish, basically. So if you want to stream that video offshore, a 5G connectivity can enable you to do that. Now we are speeding up with cars, and this is the AutoAir project, where they have a testbed, basically the proving grounds in Millbrook, where they have deployed a 5G infrastructure with millimeter wave and other type of technology, and they were able to stream videos on very fast-moving cars, like some McLaren ones here that you can see on the video. Again, this was one of the 6 Phase 1 DCMS projects. It was led by Airspan. It's small cells. So the small cells that we have here are from Airspan. And they were able to stream very high quality videos up to 1 gigabit per second speeds into fast moving cars across. So connected cars are not only, and the connectivity on cars is not only about delivering high quality video in order to stream a YouTube video. You may want to do that, especially when you are going further to autonomous vehicles where you are not driving, so you have to entertain yourself, for example, start watching a video or something like that, but also improve the delivery and the development of vehicles, where at the moment when you are trying to do a performance test of a test vehicle, you have a lot of data logging in hard disks. When the test finishes, you take those disks and go and analyze them. But if you have live streamed of all the sensors, you can at the same time improve and modify that the development of the vehicle. That makes the development of new products and services faster. Think of it, for example, like all the sensors and data that you get now, for example, outside of a Formula 1 car, that you can see all the gases and everything at real time. Further on, the Liverpool testbed was focused on health and the providing connectivity and minimizing that gap, basically. This video, I don't think it has audio, so. Yeah, so this was the testbed in Liverpool in order to provide connectivity into homes and mainly reducing this digital divide. Can be in urban areas, can also be in rural areas, and also trying to get more of inclusivity in the community. Now it's something more futuristic and advanced in terms of, for example, manufacturing. This video is from Nokia. Again, they have partnered with ABB, which they are a manufacturer of robotic and automation. And they were able to connect different robots together in order to increase the productivity. And their initial let's say comparison against 4G is that they can see more than 260% gains in productivity by the sheer volume of making, let's say, oh, sorry, I want to play the video.
Consumer demand for products are variable in terms of quantity and type. This means manufacturing must be flexible enough to accommodate these requirements. A flexible manufacturing system supports human interactions, requires fast, reliable communications to connect production machinery, material handling, and computing systems. Wireless connectivity gives the flexibility to relocate and reconfigure all of these systems across the production line. But that's not all it will enable. These connections will happen on a massive scale, with sensors connected throughout the entire production process to provide real-time monitoring, ensuring seamless continuity of operations. And while it's true that machines, specifically robots, will play an ever-increasing role in our factories, they will be working alongside us humans. Coordination of machines across the production line requires a wireless connection with ultra-low latency and reliability. This reduces product assembly time, increases flexibility, and overall productivity. To increase automation, the real-time control of machines is where 5G will be a game changer for the industrial sector. Ultra-reliable, low-latency connectivity with edge cloud analytics operating at massive scale is essential in creating the safer, flexible, and more efficient manufacturing systems of the future.
In this case, as you have heard, also as in the use cases, for example, with Smartify, both reference to edge compute infrastructure, so edge analytics. So bringing the cloud closer to the end user, so bringing some of that compute power, capacity, the storage, also compute, and also access to the network closer to the end user. Sorry. A similar one, again, in the context of a factory and manufacturing, is not only improving the productivity and speeding things, but also improving the quality assurance when you also have a human in the loop. Again, this is around also immersive technologies, how you can improve the quality with video analytics.
We are presenting one of the first Industry 4.0 practical use case over 5G. We are talking about video analytics.
So this is the real example, really practical case, what has been done in manufacturing environment with 5G.
Basically, this solution is assisting our operators, showing real-time the quality of the work they are doing. That's the thing which excites me a lot.
We were able to integrate video analytics application with machine learning functionalities with the 5G integrated system.
We just saw on Oulu industrial processes with video analytics. Now we are 600 kilometers south from that on Helsinki. We can run business critical real-time processes over long distances, for example on our data center, or if customer wants so, we can run them in network edge.
Utilizing the real-time video analytics takes us really to the next level, and 5G enables us to do so. So I'm very happy about the results.
The results are extremely promising, and our plan is to implement live solution to our production lines after this test.
As you can see, this enables the factories to improve their functionality, the quality of service. You can, for example, have a heads-up display and AR, HoloLens, for example, that you can overlay real-time information to the factory floor and improve the service that you provide. And now for the Brighton testbed, is variables or am I? I think it's about the next phase, but yeah, I can speak. So, as Duritan mentioned, we have already an operational carrier-grade 5G testbed here in Fusebox. You can see those access points indicating that. There are these areas here, it's about 600 meters square that is already covered with our testbed. But, and this was launched last September, but we are currently going to a second phase of the testbed. So yes, the Brighton, so phase 1 was here in Wild Sussex, and the second phase will be in Brighton location. That is to be launched in September. So the first, let's say, is about the creative space. It's a location where we can see it as, for example, a rehearsal studio or a thought like a space like here, where you can have a small number of people that can interact with each other. This will be equipped with a 5G infrastructure, and you can start, for example, thinking applications and services like the distributed orchestra, for example, where you can have something like this happening there at rehearsal. The second phase, the second location in that space is the Corn Exchange space. It's a larger location, larger space, can fit about 1,000 people, and then we can see the scale of 5G with hundreds of connected devices and users in that space. And finally, there is also a third location. It's a more of a interactive space as a cafe, and it's more different type of application and services that you can think of developing there. And now it's the program. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much for that overview of 5G. So we've heard a little bit about Digital Catapult, we've heard about 5G, and I'm sure there's lots more that you can know about 5G. That was a very top-line overview, and we will be going to a Q&A after this section. So if you do have any burning questions you want to know about 5G, even if you think, you know, they might be stupid questions, please ask them, because we're probably all thinking them. So the 5G Testbed Accelerator program, what is it? What we're doing with the program, we've already had cohort 1. So we're very much kind of building and iterating on the program as we go. We're going to have quite a few of these programs. They're all going to be 12 weeks long. So from our point of view, we've kind of had the pre-engagement phase. We've built awareness around Brighton and the rest of the coast capital area. And we're now in this part here, which is the open call. We'll go to a selection process, and then we'll have an engagement phase. So what that means is when you apply, it's not like you need to have your idea in concrete or know exactly what you want to use the 5G Testbed program for. The engagement phase is about Digital Catapult working with you, with someone like myself who's in innovation, and with a technologist to really map out what it is that you could do with 5G. So don't be afraid if you don't have, if you're not a technologist, if you don't have a digital background, you're really keen to get involved, because that's what we're here for. We're here to guide you and mentor you through the process. And then there's an onboarding event and masterclasses. So this timeline should be a bit clearer. So at the moment we're in April, we're in the open call. 30th of April is the deadline for applications. So if you are thinking about applying, please apply before the 30th of April. We'll then have an onboarding event. So that's yourselves, if you're on the program, and the rest of the cohort getting together for a day here, really going through what the program is, talking about what the use cases might be. And then we've got a series of masterclasses all the way through the program. So in cohort 1, we had a few of these, but from the feedback that we've received, we've kind of added a few more in, because on one hand, you've got the technology side of 5G, but on the other hand, you've got the business side. So, you know, if you come up with an idea for 5G, how do you price it? You know, who's the customer? You know, if you want to go for investment, how do you do that? About leadership. So we're here to provide like a kind of a whole acceleration program. 5G is one tiny part of that. So you're getting a lot more than just the 5G element by signing up to the program. Oh yeah, and then at the end of the program, we do finish with a showcase event. So in August, September, we'll have like a big day here, invite members of the ecosystem, investors, loads of people to come and see what you've actually created with the use case. So we're having one for cohort 1 in a couple of weeks' time, like 3 weeks' time. So it's really to demonstrate everything that they've done with their use cases, and also to potentially announce a cohort 2. So why should you apply? So as I was saying, it's a real opportunity to learn about 5G. So if you think about 5G, will be getting rolled out to everyone in the UK. I think it's 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you could be a kind of above everybody else in terms of your knowledge of 5G. It's an accelerator because it's accelerating your knowledge. It's accelerating your ability to use 5G ahead of the market. It's a really kind of safe place to test and learn. So it's, we're working in innovation. It's about making mistakes. It's about working with us and not having all the answers. And it's really about identifying opportunities for your business. So we're not here to kind of see what you can do and take it, for ourselves. We're really here to help you develop what you're already doing. So it's not about coming up with something completely new per se. It's what you're already doing. How can we do that faster, better, using 5G network? So I'm just going to talk a little bit about cohort 1 really quickly. I do have notes. I don't usually have notes, but as I'm talking about other businesses, I felt that, I want to represent them properly. So VR Craftworks, we do have them in the room. Jack, raise your hand. So if you want to talk to Jack afterwards or ask him any questions in the Q&A, please do. So VR Craftworks are an immersive agency building branded content for companies using AR, VR, and mixed reality. So VR Craftworks, Jack will tell you a bit more later. But what they really wanted to do was have a high-res game played on a VR headset. I think it was Oculus Rift? Oculus Go, which can't usually play such a high-res game. So what they did is they used the 5G testbed in order to stream this down from a makeshift kind of cloud-based system, which was really a computer, and see if it could play the game, and it actually could. So that's really kind of seeing what 5G can do. So now what they're going to be doing is moving on to more of a mobile set and using hand gestures instead of remotes. Is that, so you can speak to Jack about that later. But they're really trying to constantly test the boundaries. So that's another thing about the program. It is 12 weeks long. Jack and Pete from VR Craftworks are now finished on the program, but they're still operating on the testbed. And we're still supporting them with, trying to push the boundaries of 5G. Mativision you saw earlier. So that was around 360 VR platform. And we've also got Synapse, who are here tonight. Essen, raise your hand. So if you want to speak to Essen afterwards, she's over there. So Synapse are an AI and data tech company specialized in building software tools to augment the perception of images and data. So they use a lot of automated imaging editing tasks, including bulk processing. So what Synapse used the testbed for was to use 5G to really help with the bulk processing of images, because that's quite a hefty job. So 5G was really able to help with that. We had Ori. So Ori are based in London. So this is a really good point, actually, that you don't need to be based in Brighton to use the Brighton testbed. You can access the testbed remotely. So if you are based in another area of Sussex, then don't be put off. You have to be here for the masterclasses, but not to use the testbed. So Ori are building the first public on-demand mobile edge computing platform. So Ori had a really cool robotic arm that they were using with the 5G. So that was kind of a really clear case study because of the low latency and getting the robotic arm to move in a more kind of, natural, faster way. And then Memoscene. So Memoscene goal is to increase engagement with cultural heritage through immersive experience. So they're using VR and AR. And they use 5G to actually build a peer-to-peer network. So using the 5G network, they built a local network here. So you could have multiple users all accessing at the same time. And it's sort of negated the use of a third-party cloud system. So if you think about, at the moment, if you were sending big files or data somewhere, they'd probably be going to like the other side of the world, potentially. You don't know where they're going, you don't know the distance. But actually 5G can help create these peer-to-peer networks where your files and data can stay in a very local space and be accessed by everybody. It doesn't need to have third-party engagement. So that's that. So how to apply? So if you want to apply to the programme, you can access the application form on the Digital Catapult's website. So please take a photo if you're in here of this link, because that's where the application form is. However, if you want to find out more, you can email my colleague Felipe. He's also senior innovation manager at the Digital Catapult, or you can talk to any of us after the event. So speak to me if you want to know more about the programme, but speak to the other guys you've seen tonight if you want to know about the tech, not me for the tech. Closing date, as I said, is April the 30th. And yes, if you do have any questions, we will be moving to Q&A. So do raise your hand and we will run over with a microphone. Okay, great, thank you.
Any questions? Do you provide any funding possibility?
So yes, I should have mentioned that. So part of the programme is not including direct funding for your idea. So you will be, kind of self-funded. You'll be doing your business as usual while you're on the programme. But one of the advantages of being on the programme is that you get access to the Digital Catapult networks. There are other programmes that Digital Catapult run in conjunction with 5G. Up in London, there are things like the 5G Investor Breakfast mornings that you'll be invited to. And as we said, towards the end of the programme, that's where we try and kind of tap in and showcase what the use cases are. Brighton, do you want to?
Just to add to that, it's precisely that. So it is, we subsidize the operation of the testbed for the reason that, so the testbed equipment is funded by Cost to Capital lab, whose support has been absolutely brilliant, and one of the first labs, if not the first lab in the country to effectively understand and invest in 5G. And I don't say this purely to sort of, it's a genuine giving credit where credit is due. However, we deliberately designed this in a way that people that will engage will not necessarily engage for money. We operate with a portfolio of about 4,500 SMEs, so we understand the pain point, which is the funding, especially for very, very early startups. But for this one, it is precisely modeled where the contribution that we give in terms of the mentoring of you as a business, you don't pay for. But we are not giving you funding for those 3 months. However, I just want to give an example, which is not you take it, you leave it. It's one of the companies that have gone through the current cohort, Ori, which is a technology company. So it is, and it is a startup. It has been in existence. It cost us 18 months, I think, or less than 18 months. So they went through what we call a Future Networks investment breakfast when they presented their ideas. And on the back of that, and this is a fact, they secured a £1.6 million funding. So we deliberately say people that want to play in this space will need to be serious enough to come, and we effectively underwrite this with the value that we effectively give in this program.
If you are thinking about going for investment as well in conjunction with the programme, towards the end we are doing a masterclass on funding options, which includes investment, but it also includes looking for grants, where you can find grants and mentoring around that. And as Dritten said, kind of the real sort of the benefit of joining the programme, I guess, is the one-to-one mentoring. So alongside the masterclasses, we will be doing like almost bi-weekly check-ins which will be focused around specific needs. So if your specific needs around investment, it'll be more focused around that. So yeah, thank you.
Got a question. Just heard about the network at the Dome venue. Is that, can you tell me more about that? And is that part of the Accelerator?
Shall I? Okay, thanks. Yes, it is part of the Accelerator. But as you know, the Dome, one of the reasons we are not publicly announcing, we are stating publicly that we are not publicly announcing it. This is when streaming happens without being prepared for it. Yes, it is, but as you know, Dome is undergoing refurbishment, and the opening date for the Dome is yet to be confirmed this year. We don't know, and it is not for us to say when that will be open. The engagement with the companies will be based on the current facility that we have here, but we also will place the newer technology, both here and also in the Brighton Dome. And Fusebox, which is our testbed manager, can give you a lot more information on that, because it will be in a couple of locations in that space in preparation for the large opening that will happen when the Dome is going to happen. So yes, we are offering both locations in Fusebox and in the other location for the cohort 2. Yes, of course, and also London for those of you that want to effectively come, which is a fantastic view over the British Library. So yes.
So in the example you showed with the tourist piece in Bristol and everyone having a smoother experience, were those 5G enabled devices? No.
There aren't any. Yeah, sorry. There aren't any 5G enabled devices in the market yet. There are some announced. The radio part of the whole testbed, even here, is still 4G or Wi-Fi, but the core network and the infrastructure in the back is 5G enabled, and features of 5G like slicing, virtualization, and similar aspects. Sorry. There we go.
Hello, my name is Fusebox. Yes, the 5G phone is not available, but it's supposed to be available on the market on summer in US or later in the UK. But in a second testbed, yeah, we will be available to provide the 5G network as a radio.
So this isn't actually operational now. It's not, you know, there's nothing happening here that's going out from this building as yet.
Yeah, they are actually, yeah, they are active and operational, but they are indoor, as they cover only our space, not, all the space that we are as indoor. But they are LTE 4G, yes. Sorry? They are LTE 4G, okay. But the next step, and we are upgrading here as well, it should be 5G radio.
Sure. Okay. So I'm really not.
I was just going to ask, so you talked earlier about the infrastructure is obviously critical to it.
Yeah.
So from here, and I'm assuming in the Dome and other places, the fibre backhaul goes where in Brighton? And does anyone know if there's going to be any expansion in Brighton and more into the fibre network?
This is a question probably more for Phil. Is Phil around or not?
I think he's gone. Yeah.
Okay, so you can ask Phil for the fibre ring and the extensions of the fibre in Brighton. The core of the network. So those access points that you have are effectively the extension of the network. They are active downstairs in Brighton, in the Brighton Digital Exchange, the BDX, which is at the bottom of this building, which is a cooperative of ISP companies in Brighton. We have what we call the brain, which is the core network that manages this and will manage other extensions. Out of there is a 1 gigabit per second connection, fiber connection that goes out to the rest of the internet. So whatever you use here, it is effectively connected to the rest of the world. So the tests and the diagrams that we showed. There are plans around fiber extensions in Brighton, and I'm sure that the 5G testbed, wherever it is, will be connected to those fiber extensions in Brighton. But I think it's probably better that you discuss with other people in Brighton, in particular with Phil Jones.
Do you know when there will be a 5G wireless network across Brighton?
There was a conference on the 10th and the 11th of April in London called 5G Realized, and all of the 4 mobile network operators were presented there at C-level, operating officer or CEO. And they reaffirmed their plans for rolling out the 5G network across the UK in the next 3 years, starting from autumn this year, from November. If there are public plans around, so for example, Vodafone has already announced rolling out in 7 cities. EE, for example, put out in 7 cities, and it added another 10, which is 17. Costas? With the 4 capitals, but it is extending to, so it will be about 17 cities around the UK. 3 and O2 have similar plans, which is apparent. It is effectively 1 or 2 years earlier on the launch of the 5G than the plans were 2 years ago. So they have shifted the starting of the launch of the 5G earlier on. However, the expectation from the mobile industry is that 5G will roll out what is called the mobile internet, the kind of services that we expect, the consumer-facing, which happens to be very suitable for AR and VR, for consumer-facing devices, again. And that is an expectation across the world that there will be a more accelerated rollout of the 5G technology than it was with the 4G roughly about 7 years ago. When it started in UK, started 2012, 2013. Extending 5G in larger areas, and in particular in new industry areas, so providing the kind of the public-based building 5G services on which some of the applications that we talked about today depend, is still pretty much part of an innovation space and will happen in the next 2 to 3 years period.
In the context of VR and AR, have you got any examples of the compute being done in the cloud and then streamed down to the devices? I mean, obviously the content by nature is all real time. Oh, talking of which.
Yes, for example, one of the applications, basically 2 applications that we demonstrated and trialed in smart tourism had aspects of remote rendering. So the BBC application in Roman baths had compute in the edge of the network where it rendered the positioning and all the information that came off the mobile phone, rendered the video and streamed back the content.
It was video content again.
Yes.
So
the mobile phone sent the positioning information of the mobile phone, the camera images, in order to align the video stream and in order to provide us 6 degrees of freedom, and stream those positioning information in the cloud. And then it was a video stream back, but only from that specifically point of view, not the whole video stream, but just that rendered field of view. Similarly, Moses, another SME, demonstrated a similar application with remote rendering.
And do you have examples not just using video streams, but using actual real-time generated environments?
I don't think so. I haven't seen. So you would already have a 3D model captured, but I guess VR crafts perhaps
So what we did was we used the we connected our laptop up to the 5G testbed within here, and then streamed Beat Saber and Skyrim to our Oculus Go headset and a Google Daydream. The next level up from that is then going to be taking away the controllers, and then we're going to put hand tracking within there to see if we can do hand tracking within the game's engine as well. it literally just plugged into the thing around the corner. But it's simulating it being in the cloud. Perfect.
Any other questions? There's also time to talk to people afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you do want to grab anybody and ask any questions one-on-one, then please do so. We will be hanging around for a short while if you want to do that. And I will leave this slide up, which is details on how to apply. But yeah, I can't stress enough that you don't need to have a fully formed use case in order to apply to the program. The whole process is quite emergent and iterative. So we're here to, part of the benefit of working with us is that we're here to kind of support you both from a business point of view and a technical point of view. So if you are, just a bit interested, even if you're an artist that's thinking about working in immersive and it's not currently very technical, please apply or get in touch before the 30th and we can have a chat. So thank you very much for all coming along tonight. Hope you enjoyed the pizza. We've still got lots of drinks left. And if you are watching on live stream, thank you for joining. Yeah, thanks very much. Okay.